this video, we are going to look at the setup. This is all about how to make your video look and sound good. You want to be proud of your video when you're putting it out there, when you're sharing it with somebody. So this video is going to help you make the most of the camera that you are using. You really don't need a lot of high-tech equipment. So we're going to look at lighting, framing, and sound. Let's hop over to the lighting. So now I want to show you 3 different types of lighting that are available to you. Now right now I'm only using the overhead light in my teeny tiny little sewing room, and you'll notice that the picture has gone a bit grainy. This is because the types of cameras that we are using, the camera that comes with your smartphone or with your laptop, they're pretty good quality, but they're not quite high quality enough to work well in low lighting. So you'll find that your quality drops drastically when you don't have conscious good lighting. So I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can solve the lighting issue right now. So the first one is my very favorite, and that is with natural daylight. Woo! So I just have lifted the the little blind here so that you could see what I look like in natural daylight. Now what you want to do with natural daylight is you want the window to be behind your camera so that you are getting natural daylight on your face. You don't want it to be direct sunlight, as it will overexpose you. You'll actually find that your features sort of disappear. So you do want to make sure that it's a nice even tone. So find a window in your house that the light isn't streaming in directly but gives you a nice even tone. Remember, the background doesn't matter anywhere near as much as the lighting. So that is with just natural daylight. Now I'm a tiny bit overexposed today because it's overcast today, so I'm getting a lot of light coming through here. Now the second option available to you is setting up 3-point lighting. Whoop. I'm never going to get the setup again, is setting up 3-point lighting with just normal house lights. So I have a light here, shining light on my face here, a light over there, shining light on my face this way, and then a light at the top lighting up the rest of the room. And I'm all wobbly because I can't get my tripod right. So with 3-point lighting, it's just about finding what lights you have in the space, lighting yourself not directly behind the camera, but from either side and then above. Now these lights that I've used here are just, actually they're lights that are meant to go under a car, and I drape a little, they're cool lights, so I can, without it being a fire hazard, drape cloths over them to actually have it disperse the light a little bit better. Now the third kind of lighting is actual professional lighting. This is a LED dimmer, woo, light, and it's actually, I can change the warmth of it, so I can add a little bit more yellow to make it more warm, more daylight. So I find that I like this light best for indoor shooting or for nighttime shooting, and then in general, I tend to use my daylight because daylight is the best light available to you. I'll have a link to this specific light that I use because I only had to have one LED light to get really good lighting at night. So find out what you have in your house. Most likely the best light that you have available to you is natural daylight through a window. Now there are 3 elements when it comes to framing, and what I mean by framing is where you are within the camera's frame, within the video. How are people seeing you? Now what I would first recommend is if you have a smartphone, you're going to want to turn it this way before you record. You're going to want it to be in landscape so that you're getting the space around you. What this does is it allows the audience to see more of the room than if you're, vertical like this. So turn it landscape. It's going to actually be easier for your audience to get a better sense of having that real conversation with you in the room. Now, once you turn it landscape, you do want to make sure that you find the lens, which we're going to look at in a future video, but that's really important when you're using a smartphone. Now, the second aspect of framing is the level of the camera. Okay, so that means if you have the camera below you, what will happen, for example, is now it looks like, even though I'm framed, I'm roughly the same space of the frame, now it looks like I'm looking down on you. This is not comfortable for your audience. It does not feel like talking to someone in the room. Whereas if I go below it, which a lot of people do to do that beauty shot, yes, I will have less of a chin. However, again, it doesn't feel like having a real conversation in the room. So you want to make sure that you put your camera roughly at eye level. I usually stack up a few books or a few boxes in order to raise up my camera level. When it's with a phone, you can either get a tripod or again, you can stack a bunch of books, and I usually put something on top of the books to lean the camera against. So it's getting it up to eye level so that people feel equal with you, they feel even, and it feels like that conversation. Now the third part of framing is, where do you go, right? So you might have heard of the rule of thirds, which is there's 3 parts and you kind of want to be, there's 3 parts of the frame, then you want to be off to one side. Now that can be good and it can look professional, and a lot of videographers will tell you to do this. However, it makes it feel like an interview. It makes it feel like it's something they're seeing on TV instead of feeling like a real conversation. So you actually want to be in the middle of the frame with a couple fingers width of height between the top of your head and the top of the frame. You want the camera bottom to sit at about mid-chest level, and then have 2 triangles of space around you so that people can see that room. If you're too close, you'll find that it feels like I'm coming at you now. It feels like my whole face is taking up the screen, and it's kind of like shouting, right? And then if you're too far, you know, if you have huge gaps and you can see much more of you, you lose that sense of connection. Okay, so camera, landscape at eye level, and a couple of fingers width above the top of your head, hitting at mid-chest level with 2 triangles around you. That is how you frame. Now I come to sound. Now sound, if you're using a laptop, or if you're, sorry, a Mac laptop, or if you're using a phone, shouldn't be too hard. However, I do have a trick. If you don't have great sound on your smartphone, you can get the headphones that came with your phone, and you can look for, they usually have a microphone. Now, I wonder where it is on this. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's on this piece. But what I do is I plug in this into my smartphone, and then I will simply lay the headphones down on the desk in front of me so that they are picking up my voice more powerfully than the smartphone, but you can't see them. I'm not sitting here wearing headphones, which wouldn't feel very connected, now would it? Now, if you are using a PC, I do have a microphone. I have an external microphone because PCs tend to pick up the fan noises and the computer noises that your computer makes. So then you might want to get an external microphone. But again, if you have a smartphone, just use that.